There was a man once who understood that by fleeing from the world, you do not escape its evils. It is within yourself that you must find the way to overcome them. Seneca. Chapter 1. The Invisible Game. The invisible game, a cruel dance. You bleed energy, losing power with every desperate plea. Understand this, your weakness is always their strength. They tell you to fight for it, to explain your side, to beg for understanding. This is a lie, a fatal misstep in a game you didn't even know you were playing. Understood what Machiavelli understood, what most still refuse to see. In the arena of human connection, perceived weakness is always exploited. When you chase, you validate their decision. When you plead, you hand them the knife, trusting them not to use it. Right now, you are bleeding from invisible wounds, losing energy through self-inflicted leaks. Every text you send, every call you make, every attempt to convince them, you are draining your own power. You are not fighting for a reconciliation. You are simply confirming their belief that they made the right choice by leaving you. They see your struggle, your desperation, your attempts to manipulate their empathy, and it only reinforces their conviction. This is why people walk away and never look back, confident in their choice. Think about this. Your ex isn't watching for your words. They are watching for your actions, or rather, your lack of action. They expect a certain performance from you, a performance of pain, of longing, of regret. When you give them that performance, you become predictable, manageable. Predictability is control, and control is power, which they now hold firmly over you. Here's how you reclaim that control, how you flip the script without uttering a single word. You stop feeding the narrative they expect, the one where you are suffering. You become invisible, not because you are hiding, but because you are no longer playing their game. Your silence, your absence, becomes a weapon they cannot counter because they have no target. It's a deliberate strategy of non-engagement, a calculated withdrawal that shifts the burden of thought, of curiosity, back onto them. If you announce your withdrawal, if you declare you're going no contact or moving on, you still give them attention, still communicate your emotional state. You reveal your hand, giving them time to prepare. But if you quietly disappear, if you simply cease to exist in their immediate sphere, there's nothing for them to react to. There's no drama to feed, no ego to inflate, just a sudden stark emptiness. What most people fail to grasp is the power of internal control, of mastering one's own emotional landscape. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, understood that true strength comes not from external battles, but from within. He wrote about the importance of ruling your own mind, of not letting external events disturb your inner peace. What he understood is that your peace is your fortress. When you show an ex that their departure has not breached it, you shatter their assumptions and force them to reevaluate their perception of your value. Your calm, your continued forward movement, becomes a direct challenge to their perception of their own significance. They expect you to be broken, to be diminished, to be stagnant, forever yearning for them. When you are none of those things, when you are simply gone from their emotional battlefield, their carefully constructed reality begins to crack. They start to question their judgment, their decision, their own importance in your life. This is where true regret begins to bloom, slowly, insidiously, in the quiet corners of their mind. This isn't about manipulation in the crude sense. It's about strategic absence, about understanding the rules of the invisible game. Regret thrives not on begging and pleading, but on the sudden, stark realization of loss, the emptiness of a space that was once filled. They won't regret leaving you when you're still present in their life, even as a source of drama or pity. They will regret it when they realize the space you left behind is truly empty, and that void cannot be filled by anyone else. But an empty space is only the first step, a necessary opening move in this quiet war. There's another invisible force you must unleash, a way to ensure that void doesn't just sit there, but actively grows, becoming a magnet for their thoughts. One that turns their assumptions about your future upside down. What is it? Chapter 2. The Empty Chair. Strategic withdrawal. The weapon of silence, it leaves a void, a stark testament to their error. They will feel your absence and doubt their choices. The next invisible force you unleash is strategic withdrawal. Disciplined silence. It creates a vacuum. It lets them feel their choice, not from your words, but your absence. This empty chair is a stark reminder of what they discarded. Most people, when abandoned, chase. They beg, they explain, desperate to mend what they broke. This validates their ex's decision, confirming their power. It shrinks you, making you a problem, never a partner. Every contact chips at your dignity, reinforcing their conviction. They expect the chase. They anticipate appeals, arguments for reconciliation. This is their script. But when you defy it, when drama never arrives, you create a profound gap. Silence becomes louder than any plea, forcing them to hear their own choices. Here's how you execute this. You disappear, not with drama, but completely, quietly. Cut all direct contact, no texts, no calls, no social media. You do not explain. Silence is the explanation. It communicates their decision, carries consequences, removing you from their world. Announcing a no-contact rule gives them power, making it a game. But if you quietly vanish, if you simply stop engaging, there's nothing to dismiss. Only an absence, a growing void, where your presence once stood. This is where their mind begins its work. As Plato understood through his allegory of the cave, people often mistake shadows for reality. Your absence forces them from their cave of assumptions. They confront the stark truth of your absence, not softened by contact, what they thought was real. Your predictable presence is gone, and that truth blinds them. Your disciplined silence isn't passive, it's aggressive. It forces introspection they avoid if you still orbited their world, offering validation. They question not just your absence, but their motives, actions, and the true value of what they let go. This quiet, internal struggle unravels their certainty. Sigmund Freud grasped the unconscious, how repressed thoughts resurface under pressure. Your absence creates a psychological pressure cooker. All positive memories, the comfort you provided, the unique ways you contributed, these resurface. They face not just your physical absence, but the void you left in their emotional world. The goal isn't guilt, it's making them feel your absence as tangible loss. It removes the comfort of your presence entirely. They must examine their decision and the weight of your absence. This isn't manipulation, it's allowing natural consequences to unfold. Consequences you won't soften with attention. Nothing leaks, nothing drains, everything compounds. Your silence is self-respect, a refusal to beg for your rightful place. It asserts your value not with words, but through unwavering withdrawal. It challenges their perception of you. Chapter 3. The Unspoken Assent. The unspoken assent, power, is a quiet thing. True growth needs no audience, no performance for the departed. Their validation means your chains remain. Challenge to their perception of you, a strategic withdrawal. The real trap is chasing validation. Many believe they must broadcast their glow up to their ex, carefully curating a highlight reel of new achievements, new friends, new adventures. They mistake a performance for genuine progress. This is a fundamental error. When your growth is aimed at an audience of one, you are still bound to them. Your motivation is external, a conditional assent that crumbles the moment their gaze shifts. You are still dancing for them, proving something to someone who chose to walk away. which means you still grant them power. Watch what happens when you post a new car, a new partner, a new promotion, hoping they see it. Your ex doesn't see a successful, independent person. They see someone still trying to get a reaction, still needing them as the metric for their own value. They see a performance, not a transformation. This allows them to maintain a sense of control, an unspoken superiority, knowing they still occupy space in your head. It confirms their belief that you are not truly moving on, only pretending to. Here's how you truly ascend, the unspoken ascent. You build yourself in the dark for yourself. You focus on the relentless, quiet accumulation of personal power. This means brutal honesty about your weaknesses, methodical attacks on your limitations, and the disciplined pursuit of excellence in areas that matter to you. Your career, your physique, your knowledge, your skills, your network, each facet of your life becomes a project of self-mastery. As the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle taught, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. What he understood is that true virtue, true strength, comes from consistent, deliberate action, not from a singular dramatic display. It's an internal furnace, not an external spotlight. If you announce your new gym routine, people will commend your intention. But if you quietly transform your body over 6 months, the change becomes undeniable, a silent testament to your discipline. There's nothing to comment on, nothing to praise or dismiss, because you never sought their input. The contrast is stark. One seeks approval, the other embodies undeniable fact. You cultivate an aura of self-contained power, a quiet competence that needs no witness to be real. This self-reliance is the most potent signal you can send, precisely because it is never sent directly. While you build this unshakable inner core, you must also expand your mind. The Renaissance polymath Leonardo da Vinci, a man whose curiosity knew no bounds, understood that learning never exhausts the mind. What he realized is that true personal enrichment comes from constant intellectual engagement and the relentless acquisition of knowledge, not from stagnant pride. You devour books, master new languages, learn complex skills. This isn't about becoming interesting for someone else. It's about becoming more formidable, more capable, more you. This internal expansion shifts your entire bearing, your perspective, the way you carry yourself in the world. This unspoken ascent permeates your very being. It reflects in the calm in your eyes, the confidence in your stride, the clarity in your decisions. It becomes an undeniable vibration that others pick up, often unconsciously. When your ex hears whispers of your progress through mutual connections, when they see a fleeting glimpse of your life through a friend's social media post, or when their algorithm, without your direct input, presents evidence of your quiet triumph, the impact is profound. There's no performance, no desperate plea for attention. There is only undeniable, self-generated progress. They will see you not as someone who needed them to motivate growth, but as someone who sees their freedom to grow beyond expectation. This isn't about revenge. It's about a strategic reinvestment of your entire being, a realignment of your purpose away from their orbit. You make yourself unreachable, not just physically, but energetically. You build a life that is so compelling, so robust, so clearly designed for you, that their absence becomes irrelevant. Chapter 4: The Expanding Orbit. Shrink not, for to contract your world, that is to invite ruin. Instead, consider how to expand your orbit, making yourself indispensable and powerfully elusive. The moment your world contracts, you invite desperation. Many people, after a breakup, make themselves smaller. They retreat into their homes, their old routines, their narrow circles, hoping the vacuum will somehow pull their ex back. This isn't a strategy, it's a surrender. You become predictable, accessible, and ultimately forgettable. You stop being a source of new energy and become a drain on yourself, waiting for someone else to fill a void you created. Think about the person who obsessively checks and X's social media or declines invitations to new experiences because they feel too raw. They might as well be wearing a sign that says, "I am incomplete without you." This static existence broadcasts your stagnation. It whispers your availability, not your desirability. Your ex, or anyone else, sees a life that has paused, waiting for their return, and this makes you deeply unappealing. You demonstrate that your sense of self, your potential for joy, was tethered to their presence. Here's how you dismantle that perception and build an expanding orbit. Your focus must shift entirely to the deliberate, relentless cultivation of a vibrant new social ecology. This is not about dating immediately or chasing new partners to make your ex jealous. It's about a fundamental reinvest in your own social capital, your own network, your own experiences. You proactively seek out new groups, new hobbies, new challenges that push you into unfamiliar territory and introduce you to new people. The goal is a genuinely richer life, not a performative one. If you announce to the world or to your ex that you are moving on or meeting new people, it smells of insecurity. It looks like you're trying to provoke a reaction. But if you quietly, methodically, and genuinely expand your world, there's nothing for them to refute. There's nothing to respond to because your actions aren't directed at them. They are directed at your own growth, your own fulfillment, your own expansion. You are simply living. As Carl Jung understood, the journey of individuation is about becoming a whole, complete person, integrating all parts of yourself. When you actively expand your social world, you are not just finding new connections. You are integrating new facets of yourself. You are exploring new interests, new perspectives, new capabilities. This outward expansion is a mirror of an inward process, making you more robust, more interesting, and more self-contained. It's about becoming more you, not less. This means signing up for classes you always considered, joining clubs that align with burgeoning interests, volunteering for causes that stir your spirit. It means saying yes to every genuine invitation that broadens your horizon. Your goal is to fill your calendar, not with distractions, but with meaningful engagements that foster growth and introduce you to new circles. You diversify your emotional portfolio. The sheer undeniable fact of your expanded life creates its own gravitational pull. Others observe your engagement, your newfound energy, the diverse people you now interact with. They see someone who is not just surviving, but thriving. This organic attraction is powerful. It is the silent signal that your value is self-generated, not dependent on any single relationship. It communicates that your life force is strong, not bleeding out. Confucius taught that the cultivated person exerts a positive influence on their environment, attracting others through their moral character and self-mastery. Your expanding orbit is a demonstration of that self-mastery. You are not waiting for life to happen to you. You are actively shaping it, expanding its boundaries, and in doing so, you become a center of gravity, drawing new connections and opportunities into your sphere. Your ex will eventually see this. They will see a life that has grown beyond their boundaries, a world they are no longer a part of, and one they were never truly central to in the first place. But creating this vibrant new existence is only one piece of the puzzle. There's another, more subtle move. That's another, more subtle move that solidifies your position, one that turns their occasional regret into a persistent, unsettling thought. What is it? Chapter 5, The Closed Door. The closed door, a powerful move. Deny them access to your world, and their curiosity becomes a weapon against themselves. Let them wonder. The subtle move is the art of the closed door. It is the strategy of deliberate scarcity, of managing the information they receive about your life as meticulously as a master chess player controls the board. Your ex believes they still have a right to your internal world, to your struggles and your triumphs, even when they've walked away from the obligation to share them. This expectation is a vulnerability. They will try to probe. They will fish for updates through mutual friends, linger on your social media, or even send innocuous messages to gauge your availability. Every crumb of information you offer, every detail of your progress or hardship, becomes a free data point for them. It allows them to calibrate their own sense of loss, to justify their past decisions, or even worse, to feel a sense of control over your emotional state. Think about the comfort they derive when they know everything. If you're struggling, they feel a perverse validation that their absence was justified or that you cannot thrive without them. If you're excelling, they might feel a flicker of regret, but that regret is quickly contained when they understand the full scope of your success, allowing them to process it and move on. Full information grants them closure. Here's how you implement the closed door. You become an enigma. Your life becomes a carefully curated exhibition where only specific pieces are displayed, and only from a distance. You do not overshare on public platforms. You do not confide in mutual acquaintances who might act as messengers. You seal the leaks. When they reach out, your responses are polite, brief, and devoid of personal detail. They are like a blank wall, offering no purchase for their emotional projections. You acknowledge their message without feeding their curiosity. This isn't about being rude. It's about establishing an impenetrable boundary around your personal space. This is why the truly wise do not seek to broadcast their every move. As Lao Tzu observed, those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know. What he understood is that true power often resides in the unspoken, in the quiet cultivation of your own path, away from the noise and judgment of others. Your silence forces them to fill the void with their own imagination, and their imagination, fueled by their past connection to you, will often paint a far more compelling picture than any truth you could offer. If you announce every victory, every new connection, every exciting venture, people will celebrate with you for a moment, then categorize you and move on. But if you quietly build, allowing only glimpses of your expanding world, there's nothing for them to categorize. There's only a growing sense of the unknown, an unsettling thought that they missed something significant. This quiet growth compounds. Socrates famously said that the unexamined life is not worth living. He stressed the importance of knowing oneself, of internal wisdom. This wisdom is not for public consumption or external validation. It is for your own strength. When you prioritize this inner examination and growth, your X sees not a desperate plea for attention, but a self-contained entity, a person whose well-being is not dependent on their presence or their approval. This quiet self-possession is a powerful, undeniable truth. Your mystery becomes their torment. They will scrutinize every faint signal, every indirect mention, trying to piece together the picture of your new reality. The gaps they cannot fill become fertile ground for regret. They wonder what they missed, what they lost, what kind of person you are becoming outside their influence. The closed door doesn't just deny them access. It forces them to confront their own decision in the echoing silence of your absence. This strategic withdrawal is not a game of manipulation. It is an act of self-preservation and profound self-respect. You are not begging for their return or trying to trick them. You are simply refusing to offer your inner world as their personal entertainment. You are reclaiming your sovereignty. The effect is subtle but devastating. They will see that your life continues, that it thrives, and that they have no real understanding of how or why. Chapter 6: The Silent Builder. Observe the fool who parades their convalescence. True power, my friends, is cultivated in shadows, its roots deepening unseen, until its undeniable stature commands respect. The greatest mistake people make after a breakup, one that leaks power, is the desperate need to show their progress. You feel a burning urge to post the new job, the new car, the new partner, all for one audience. This performance is a plea, an unconscious attempt to prove your worth. They see it for exactly what it is, a desperate cry for validation. It screams insecurity, showing their absence still dictates your landscape. This constant performance is a drain. Every ounce of energy spent curating an image for them is stolen from genuinely building yourself. It makes your growth conditional, dependent on their observation. You cease to be the architect of your future, becoming a jester for an indifferent audience. Your focus splits, resolve weakens, and seeking their acknowledgement diminishes real achievement. Think about the quiet power of a mountain. It does not boast of its height, it simply is. Its presence is undeniable, its strength inherent. What happens when you try to emulate this, becoming the silent builder? You commit to your path, not for applause, but for the act of creation. Your work becomes its own reward, your progress an internal metric, untouchable by external judgment. Here's how you become the silent builder. Ye direct every urge to broadcast your life into actual, tangible work. Instead of drafting a social media post about a new project, dedicate that time to starting it. Instead of talking about goals, simply pursue them. Meticulously and relentlessly in the quiet corners of your life. You do not explain, justify, or announce. If you announce your intentions, people will dissect them before they are even fully formed. They will offer unsolicited advice, project their own fears onto your ambitions, and silently wish for your failure because your success would expose their inaction. This external chatter is a drain. It forces you to defend nascent ideas, to expend energy on convincing others instead of building. It gives them a target, an expectation to measure you against. And if you stumble, they feel justified. Your ambition becomes cheap talk, a hollow promise. But if you quietly execute, if you let your work speak for itself, there is nothing for them to criticize in advance. There is no vulnerable point for them to target. Your progress becomes an unstoppable force, revealed only when it is undeniable. Think about the person who constantly talks about starting a business versus the one who simply launches it, refined and ready, catching everyone by surprise. One broadcasts potential, the other demonstrates power. Your ex, still monitoring your digital footprint, will see not a series of hopeful posts, but a new, tangible reality you've constructed. No pleas for validation, no seeking attention. Just the cold, hard proof of your transformation emerging from the shadows. This silent dedication is a form of self-respect. You are telling yourself that your vision is valuable enough to be shielded, protected from the premature judgments and envious whispers of the world. You are cultivating a private domain of creation, a personal forge, where your future is hammered out in secret. It builds an aura of formidable competence. When you eventually reveal your accomplishments, they land with the weight of inevitability, not the fragility of a whispered hope. Consider the meticulous habits of someone like Leonardo da Vinci. He didn't just conceptualize grand inventions. He filled thousands of pages with detailed observations, anatomical studies, and engineering schematics. His genius wasn't just in his ideas, but in the relentless, often solitary, application of his mind to every minute detail, long before his finished work stunned the world. What he understood is that genuine power doesn't need a spotlight, it creates its own. It is the deep root system that supports the towering tree, unseen but vital. When you operate this way, your confidence isn't dependent on external validation. It's an internal furnace, stoked by progress and tangible results. Your ex might expect you to be wallowing, or at least publicly struggling. Instead, they will encounter the stark reality of your quiet ascent. They will see the undeniable evidence of a life built with purpose and precision, without needing their presence or approval. This isn't about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right, to yourself. And that proof is felt, not stated. The regret they feel won't come from your words, but from the unshakable certainty of your new reality. It is a regret rooted in the stark contrast between the person they left and the formidable individual you became in the silence. But there's another crucial element to making them truly regret their decision. One that involves understanding the invisible strings that still connect you to their perception. What is it? Chapter 7. The Impatient Fool. The impatient fool, a dangerous game. They will prod, they will provoke, searching for weakness. Your immediate reaction is their victory. Learn to master the pause. This brings us to the trap of the impatient fool. It is the insidious pull to react, to respond, to justify your new reality the moment they throw a pebble into your carefully cultivated calm. They see your growth, they feel the shift, then they test it, a text, a like, a whisper to a friend. This isn't curiosity, it's a probe. They are checking to see if the old buttons still work, if they still hold power over your emotional landscape. This immediate urge to engage, to prove, to explain yourself, is the exact mechanism that unravels all the quiet work you have done. Every time you engage their probe, you reinforce the idea that they still occupy real estate in your mind. You tell them without words that their opinion, their attention, still holds weight. This gives them back the very leverage you fought so hard to remove. You become a predictable equation, easily solved, easily dismissed. Think about it. You built this new fortress, brick by brick, in the silence. Then they send a casual text, "How have you been?" And suddenly you're reaching for the drawbridge, eager to show off your interior design. The moment you offer an explanation, even a brief one, you are not the mystery. You are no longer the formidable unknown. You become the familiar, the accessible, the one who still seeks their understanding. Here's how you disarm this specific manipulation. You do nothing, absolutely nothing. Your silence is not passive, it is an active refusal to engage in their game. It communicates an indifference no words could match. Let their probes vanish into the void, unanswered, unacknowledged. They want a reaction, any reaction, because a reaction confirms their continued relevance. Deny them that confirmation. If you jump at the chance to explain your new life, to tell them how great things are, how much you've changed, they will interpret it as validation. They will see that you still care what they think. They will sense a need for their approval. This is not how you build regret. This is how you confirm their initial decision to leave was correct, because you are still the person who needs their external affirmation. But if you remain silent, if you let their overtures disappear into the ether, there is nothing for them to grab onto. There is no proof that they still matter. There is only the resounding absence of your presence in their world, contrasted with the undeniable presence of your new, self-contained reality. This creates a void they, not you, will feel compelled to fill, or at least to observe. Abraham Lincoln, a man who navigated immense pressures, understood the power of remaining steadfast. He said, "Truth is generally the best vindication against slander." What he grasped is, you don't need to debate every false accusation. The truth of who you are, your actions, speaks louder than any reply. Your quiet, consistent self-improvement is your truth, your vindication. This kind of unwavering self-possession is not easy. It demands emotional discipline, a vigilance against seeking external validation. It requires comfort in your own skin, with your progress, without needing an audience. This internal strength is the true foundation of regret. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, warned against being swayed by external forces. He taught, "We are often more frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." He understood the urgency to react is often a self-inflicted wound, a fear of being misunderstood. That fear itself is the chain. Your true power lies in mastering your internal reactions, not in controlling their external perceptions. The moment you respond, you show your cards. You reveal their actions, still break your composure, pull you from your path. Your continued silence communicates a profound message. You are beyond their reach. You are playing a different game, a long game, where their temporary attention holds no sway. This deliberate non-response is a weapon. It is a shield. It protects your peace and forces them to confront the reality of your absence. They are left with echoes of their decision and a growing silence where your presence used to be, a silence that now speaks volumes. The true regret comes not from your words, but your unwavering self-possession, your unshakable commitment to a life that no longer includes their influence. Chapter 8. The Unbreakable Will. Silent fortification. The astute observer understands that true power stems not from a desperate plea, but from an unyielding will. We build our dominion. The silent moves you have cultivated are not manipulation. They are fortification. They build an inner fortress around your will, your purpose, your peace. This isn't a game for their reaction, but a strategy for your absolute liberation. Your ex's regret is a collateral effect, a natural consequence of witnessing your ascent. You are not chasing their recognition. You are sculpting yourself immune. Every boundary you set, every silence you embrace, every focus poured into your own growth, these are acts of radical self-ownership. You reclaim the energy they once consumed, reinvesting it into your mind, body, and future. This is the doctrine of an unbreakable will, forged in the quiet fire of your ambition. Many chase the fleeting validation of an ex's acknowledgement, a desperate plea for them to see what they lost. This is weakness. It signals your value is still tied to their perception that their exit left a hole you need them to fill. What Friedrich Nietzsche understood is that true strength comes from within, from a self-overcoming, transcending the need for external approval. He spoke of creating your own values, not inheriting them, and this is what you are doing. When they observe your new landscape, they will see a person unburdened. They will see a life that did not crumble but rather flourished, free from their constraints. The distractions cut, the drains sealed, the people eliminated. These are the silent architects of your renewed power. Your transformation isn't an act for their benefit, it is a declaration of your sovereign self. Their regret then becomes less about you and more about them. It's a mirror reflecting their misjudgment, their loss, their inability to hold on to what they undervalued. They project their shortcomings onto your newfound brilliance. They thought they left a void. Instead, they created space for a colossus. This strategic independence is your ultimate weapon. It means you operate on your own terms, follow your own clock, and answer to your own vision. You are not waiting for them to return or change their mind. You are advancing relentlessly toward the life you were always meant to build. This entire process is about the long game. It's about building foundations that withstand any storm, any glance back from a past that no longer defines you. Every small, consistent effort compounds into an undeniable force. Nothing leaks, nothing drains, everything compounds. The power isn't in what you say to them, it's in what you become without them. It's the quiet confidence, the calm resolve, the unshakable certainty in your chosen path. This silence is not empty. It is pregnant with your potential, your progress, your self-reclamation. If you spend energy looking back, wondering, hoping, you tether yourself to their past decision, you give away your present power. This is why you must cut the cord, sever the invisible threads that still try to pull you into their orbit. Winston Churchill, who understood unwavering resolve in adversity, once stated, "Never give in. Never, 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 great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense." He spoke to the profound importance of an unyielding spirit in personal battles, of refusing to yield your strategic position or inner peace to external pressures or past hurts. Your victory isn't their regret, it is your freedom. It is your ability to define your own worth, dictate your own happiness, and forge a future independent of anyone else's approval. Their regret is merely the dust kicked up by your departure, a distant echo of a connection you outgrew. You become an individual who cannot be swayed by guilt, broken by absence, or defined by a past relationship. You are complete, self-sufficient, strategically positioned for personal dominance. This is the ultimate silent move. Now, erase their ghost from your internal battlefield. Consider them a closed file and proceed.